Have you ever watched a movie you love so many times that the elements of the movie begin to fall apart a little bit? This has happened to me with movies like Devil Wears Prada, but I'm going to talk about a movie I'm guessing you haven't seen. I have probably watched Teen Beach Movie too many times, and you know what happens when you watch Teen Beach Movie too many times? You realize that it makes much less sense than most of the movies on the Disney Channel, which is an accomplishment, really. But what is this movie even about? I'm sure you're asking. Well, to put it simply-ish, Mackenzie and Brady, our main characters, love surfing. And through a series of events that involve flying and heartbreak, they end up on the fictional beach of Brady's favorite movie, Wet Side Story. This movie is a musical where the rivals, the surfers, and a group of bikers who call themselves the Rats Social Club, come together through the love of Tanner, the leader of the surfers, and Layla, the little sister of the leader of the bikers, to combat the evil real estate developer and mad scientist sidekick from taking over their beach. Now, Mac and Brady, who have accidentally derailed the plot of this movie, have to figure out how to get Layla and Tanner back together, or together in the first place, so that the plot can continue so that they can get home. Which parts of this could possibly not make any sense? I'm sure you're asking me. I mean, we have the usual Disney Channel movie silliness. The plan that is very improbable, if not impossible in reality, that saves the day and wraps everything up. These have never really been a problem for me. Also very common is the zany villain. Many Disney Channel movies have this, like The Luck of the Irish, or even Halloween Town to a certain extent. In the case of Teen Beach Movie, as I explained, we have the real estate developer and his mad scientist sidekick. And they come out of nowhere. They're fun and silly and ridiculous, but they don't really add much to the story, and it almost seems like they're in an entirely different movie. I also don't really have a problem with them. What actually doesn't make any sense is the interactions between the bikers and the surfers, and the bikers and the surfers with Mac and Brady, because they don't follow the weird internal logic that this movie has set up. In the clips shown at the very beginning of the movie, it is made very clear that the surfers and the bikers hate each other. Tanner and Layla meet when Tanner catches her when she falls from the stage at Big Mama's, the hangout that they all go to. When he catches her, the bikers are immediately angry and come to defend their girl, while the surfers come to pick fights with the bikers and defend their guy. The interrupted version of the movie, Brady and Mac show up before Layla and Tanner meet cute. And well, let me just explain to you how the surfers react to Mac and Brady. Brady and Mac show up in their present-day surfing clothes, and the surfers are immediately suspicious of them. The second in command of the surfers tell them, "We don't jelly roll to outsiders." Which, yeah, okay, makes sense, I guess. When the bikers arrive, Brady takes over their musical number, suddenly dressed as a biker. That should make the surfers even more suspicious of Mac and Brady, right? No. Instead, they cheerfully get invited along to a surfer shindig later that night. At night, Brady, now dressed up like a surfer in the movie, thanks to movie magic, catches Layla instead of Tanner, which is what accidentally keeps Tanner and Layla from meeting, and neither group has a reaction. Brady explains that this is because they derailed the plot of the movie, which would be an acceptable answer for the weird things that happen later and don't make any sense. Except throughout the rest of the movie, Mac and Brady talk to the surfers and the bikers about the two groups' ongoing rivalry, which is clearly still a thing. And that earlier thing about jelly rolls and outsiders just reinforces the lack of commitment to this rivalry in the story. For example, from that point on, Brady dresses alike and hangs out with the surfers. And also starts hanging out with Layla, the little sister of the leader of the bikers. In an attempt to get Tanner and Layla back together, Brady asks him what he thinks of Layla. And second-in-command surfer says, "We don't date no rats." And the tide wouldn't take out a girl just because she's a biker. So clearly, even though the plot has been interrupted, the surfers still don't like the bikers. How do the Rats Social Club react to these new people? I hear you asking. After the plot gets interrupted and Brady catches Layla, an enamored Layla talks to Brady in front of all of her biker friends, and none of them, including her brother, seem to notice. Butchie, her brother, doesn't seem like the type to just let that kind of thing go, having asked her earlier in the movie, for no reason, if the surfers were messing with her, just so the movie could reinforce how much he doesn't like them. Later on, Layla explains to her friends that she's going to wear her blue dress because Brady likes surfing and the ocean is blue, so the ocean water will make him think of her. And the biker girls all agree that this is a great approach. Just a few scenes ago, they were having a vehement discussion about how all bikers is bad. And when Brady asks Layla about the fighting between the two groups, she says it's just always been that way. Meanwhile, Mac, who Tanner is crushing on, hangs out with the biker girls and also surfs with Tanner in front of everybody. And at one point ends up on the beach totally decked out as a biker. Again, shouldn't the two groups or gangs or whatever they are be a lot more sensitive to their new friends hanging out with their mortal enemies? Why is there no consistency in this rivalry? The explanation that because Mac and Brady derailed the plot, nobody knows what to do does not work. Because the rest of the time, they show no signs of being confused by these changes. It seems like the writers just ignored or forgot about it. Layla keeps her secret about wanting to surf But why should she need to when dating a surfer is suddenly okay with all of her friends? Shouldn't the surfer who stated, "We don't date no rats," have a problem with Mac hanging out with the biker girls and dating his fellow surfer? Honestly, even a little nod to the bikers or surfers having some sort of issue or discussion with all of this would have been immensely gratifying and filled out the story. And we know that Layla and Tanner aren't that sharp and could probably be easily talked into being okay with their dates hanging out with their rivals. They could even probably have appeased the other members of said groups by telling them they were gathering info so that they could kick the other group off of the beach, which is what everybody wants. Or maybe the derailed plot makes it so everybody reevaluates why they're fighting. There are clearly ways to write around this ridiculous problem. We could have watched as they developed the relationships in a still fun and campy way that made sense within the internal logic of the movie, because for some reason, Disney Channel movies and shows managed to pull that off. There's no reason that this will be addressed in the coming sequel. The bikers and the surfers are now friends. I assume they'll be trying to figure out how to survive in Mac and Brady's world. It's equally as likely that we'll see the return of evil realtor and mad scientist, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Still, I hold out hope that they'll find a way to follow through with the characters' personalities and quirks that made them lovable and more than simple caricatures. There's a little more I want to talk about when it comes to the screen candy that is Teen Beach Movie, but it won't all fit into one video, so look out for part 2, because not so deep analysis of things that don't really matter is totally my specialty. Thanks for listening!